Hey, hi, hello. I'm Decky. For those of you who've been following me, I know I've been missing in action for a while now. Long story short, I have been fairly busy and preoccupied with a lot of things since my last video. Had a lot going on and just haven't really found the time or the space to sort of sit down and continue with these videos that I do whilst I'm driving, where I'm discussing a topic that I've been thinking about lately, but I'm keen to get back into this, so here I am. So the topic that I want to go over now, today, is can you be friends with other gay men or just other gay people in general when you yourself also happen to be gay? So I'm not saying that it's a prerequisite to have friends who happen to be gay, but I'm coming at this from the perspective of there's certain things that you can discuss with other gay men that you can't really discuss with straight people, just because of that whole difference in attractions. So having said that, at the moment in my personal life, I don't actually have any friends who happen to be gay. All of them are straight, and there's nothing wrong with that. As I said, there's certain things you can discuss, there's certain things that you can't, just because your straight friends aren't really going to get it or understand the likes of relationship dynamics with another guy. So why am I bringing this up? Speaking from personal experience, I've personally struggled a lot with having friendships with other gay men. It's the sort of thing where we'll start out as friends and something usually always ends up happening. There's like some sort of drama or issue, something comes up like that, and it results in us no longer being friends. There's I think there's multiple reasons why this happens, and I'm not saying that this sort of stuff doesn't happen with friends who happen to be straight, but going by my experience, I've noticed that it is difficult to form friendships with other gay men, and I think like one of the reasons for that is because like a lot of guys, they like when you sort of meet them, they sort of take things from their approach from the premise of, oh, this person could be a potential partner, I could have a relationship with them, or I'm interested in them in some sort of way. That's been my experience. Now keep in mind, whenever I meet someone who happens to be gay that I want to be friends with, I've always pursued it from the perspective of hey, I'd like us to be friends. I sort of state that clearly early on. I always indicate that is my intention when I sort of meet someone that I'm interested in maintaining some sort of friendship with. So that's always been my approach, and I found that it usually results in two sort of responses or outcomes. One is the other guy is sort of upfront and honest and says, I actually find you attractive and I'd like to pursue something more, and I'll sort of indicate, well, yeah, that's not my intention, I just want to be friends, and they just sort of like, say that's okay, and they go on, we sort of go our own separate ways, and that's okay, that's fine, I appreciate that. The other outcome that I've encountered is the other guy will sort of say, yeah, that's okay, we can be friends, but over time I come to sort of realize and find out that they sort of still hold onto that original premise of, oh, this is somebody that I could potentially have a relationship with, and that's fine, that's okay, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if that isn't being reciprocated, then that usually almost always sort of comes out in this negative way from their end, where they sort of lash out in some way, or they sort of end up becoming passive aggressive, and things sort of escalate from there because they have these sort of undisclosed this undisclosed desire from their end, and like I'm not reciprocating that because I'm not interested in them in that sort of way. So yeah, the sort of friendship kind of falls apart from there because we don't share the same foundations. So that's been my experience. Now, like, yeah, why am I discussing this? As I mentioned, I've personally struggled with trying to have friends with other guys who happen to be gay, and I've noticed this pattern where it sort of seems to center around this whole idea of, yeah, like the other guy, like guys I've found are usually, they'll end up sort of being interested and attracted to you, and I understand why that's the case and how that sort of happens, because it is difficult to meet other men, but when it comes to friendships, I think it's something that is very much worth pursuing. It's a value worth pursuing. It's something that adds to your life, especially when you have common interests and you get along with them, and there's somebody that you can rely on and talk to. That's why it's worth having friends who also happen to be gay, and I'm also saying that from personal experience because I have had some pretty good friends in the past that I got along with really well. So I don't know what it's like when you have that sort of relationship. Having said all that, like I probably only know 2 other guys who are also gay that I would consider to be very close, very good friends, although they live overseas, so it's not the same. And there are, I guess, a few people that I know online, but again, that's not the same thing. It is kind of difficult to establish like a sort of genuine friendship with people online. So yeah, like, why does this matter so much to me that I'm talking about it? I've thought about, like, I've been thinking about this a lot, like, over the years. I guess, like, I'm not going to get into any specific examples, but like as I mentioned before, like I've had some good friendships with other guys, but they usually always end up falling apart. And the 2 reasons that I listed before, I'm not saying it's because of that mainly. Like, I know people have personal issues and whatnot and other struggles to deal with. Sorry, excuse me. But it's just, I think, these days, like the whole gay culture community thing, it's not a healthy place to be. It's there's no positive aspects or elements to it, and like I personally don't get along with like almost anyone who aligns themselves with the whole community culture side of it all. So, it's like, yeah, of course it would be nice to be friends with other guys who also feel the same way, where, their sexuality isn't their entire personality and it doesn't define who they are. And it's not like the only thing you'll know about them. But like, I think a lot of guys make that mistake where they do just sort of create this entire persona surrounding their sexuality. So that gets tiring very quickly. And I've known people like that, and they're not people that I can be friends with. They generally don't end up being good people as well. I think that sort of stuff is usually a cover for something else that's going on in their personal lives. But, having said all that, like over the years, I'd say that I've had like 2 or 3 really good friendships with other guys. Like one of them I was very, very close friends with. Unfortunately, for about like 3 years, but unfortunately, something happened, and, not to sound like I'm sort of like elevating myself to saying, oh, I'm better than everyone else, but, it was more often it's the sort of issues come about that's from the other person's end. Not saying I'm perfect, but although I think it's worthwhile to strive towards being the best version of yourself that you can be. But when that friendship that I had, the one that I just mentioned that I had for about 3 years, when that sort of ended, it took me a while to sort of get over it, because there was this person that I sort of spoke with almost on a daily basis, and we'd have conversations that would go well into the morning sometimes. And like I found it to be a genuinely good friendship, and whenever I find someone like that, I care about that friendship, that relationship a lot. So it's just sort of disappointing when you sort of struggle to find somebody like that. But having said that, there are sort of 2 other guys that I know, but as I mentioned before, they live overseas. So it's not the same thing. But yeah, I think I'll wrap this up, because I don't want to spend too much time on this topic. Also, this is my second video. The first one, for some reason, the audio didn't record on my phone. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm driving my sister's car and I had it hooked up, and the audio it just didn't record anything. But yeah, that's sort of like the main theme that I wanted to discuss, is this idea of having friendships. Friendships are great to have in your life, in your personal life. They're a value worth pursuing, and even better if your friends happen to be gay and they're people that you get along with, you have common values and shared interests. That makes things so much more better and enjoyable. Because you do have your family, but I think one of the best things about having friends is that they're people that you can choose. You can't choose your family, as the saying goes, but you can choose your friends. So you're able to make choices that lead to having the best type of people in your life, and friends can offer that. Although I understand it's very difficult, especially these days, to try and find those sort of genuine type of people. Something I've mentioned in one of my other videos is that, unfortunately, gay men have this sort of overly sexualized view of everything. And I think that's another reason why so many of them struggle with maintaining any sort of friendships, because there's always this sort of background premise of that notion. And, you know, somehow it eventually sort of comes out for some guys, which, you know, I think leads to a lot of these issues and dramas, but, you know, maybe that's a topic for another time. So yeah, just something to get off my mind. And, you know, if you agree with me or disagree, feel free to share. I'm interested to hear what other people think about this. So yeah, thanks for listening.